We've decided to take our first step to becoming better golfers and build a golf simulator. We buy a few drop cloths and metal pipe from Home Depot, and JP's wife sews them together in the shape of a cube with two faces cut out. We set it up for the first time. It hangs from the ceiling with hooks and paracord. There's about a 2-inch gap between the bottom of the screen and the floor, but we figure we can adjust and want to hit our first shot. JP grabs his 3-wood and squares up to the tee box. Cody and I are crouched down behind him, working on the projector or something. JP swings, tops it. The ball goes straight between that 2-inch gap and hits the concrete foundation of my garage. It zips back, straight for me. Time slows down. The ball moves closer and closer to me. I know I should move, but there's no time. My life flashes before my eyes. That terrible hit on a par 3 that landed 10 feet in front of me. Watching that amazing Agni-Kai between Azula and Zuko the first time. The birth of my kids. My list of Steam games left unplayed. The ball finally makes contact with my smartwatch. The ball zings off in one direction, my watch the other. Its face shattered. Sacrificed for my protection. Clearly, something has to change. This is For the Record. Golf, the hardest game we love to play. These are the ramblings of 3 nerdy golfers.
Our continuing mission? Explore strange new swing techniques to seek out lower handicaps and awesome golf courses.
And to boldly swing where a safe layup would have been the smarter choice.
Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Record. We are now officially in the off-season of Season 1. And this...
Yeah. Bit sad.
I miss golf a lot, but...
I miss the sun, I tell you what.
Yeah, I got off of work today and I looked outside and I was like, it's bedtime.
As I was saying, we have a very exciting episode. It's not depressing or downtrodden at all. But we are going to be talking about our sim today. In some detail. We undertook to build a sim in Eric's garage a couple years ago, and it's been through a couple of iterations, so we'll give you some details about that. And that's just so we can be nerdy, because it was kind of a fun, nerdy endeavor. But also, in case there are those of you who are crazy enough to follow in our footsteps, you can learn from our experience.
I believe we put together a shopping list, like an Amazon shopping list, if you wanted to purchase the same things that we have.
You bet. Also, we're going to be talking about how we're going to use this sim strategically over the off-season to help us to at least keep our games maintained. I'd love to say improve our games. I think that's optimistic, but at least maintain the games and work on a few mechanics and things over the winter.
The last thing we want to do is go into March and be like, look at a golf club. How does this thing work again?
What's this for?
Bonka bonka da ball.
Additionally, we're going to be talking about some other off-season goals regarding fitness and things of that nature. And we have a fantastic Talk Nerdy to Me, and apparently Cody has had an interesting dream, which we'll be discussing. We'll cap it all off with a nice frosty birdie bev. So thank you for joining us. Let's dive right into our sim talk.
Before we jump into the sim talk, I do have some notes from a listener.
What? A listener responded? This makes me happy.
And basically...
It's not one we're related to?
It is.
Oh, man, it's always somebody we're... Oh.
Oh, man.
Why did you have to ask that question? I was just going to labor under the assumption that someone who's not related to us cared.
Oh, I'm sure there's, at least somebody out there. My brother called me on the way home from work the other day, and he's like, let me give you the backstory on Southgate, right? Because we didn't care as much for that course. And he said, I played that course many, many times, and apparently it used to be a lot better and a lot prettier. And it went right along the Virgin River. The Virgin River flooded and took out like 8 of the holes.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, so that's why the layout is the way that it is.
Yeah. And so now, like, it kind of explains they have to work with what they have. And so he said it used to be much better, but because of that.
That explains so much, because the one thing we kept talking about, as Eric just talked about, is that it seemed like it was designed by a madman. Like you had to drive huge distances around other holes to get to tee boxes. It was really bizarre, and that makes so much more sense. And actually, it also surprised me as a course that I know had been around for a long time. A lot of it seemed quite undeveloped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense, too.
It does. He did also concur that aside from like the resort courses that we identified, like Sand Hollow and Entrada and some of those, way nicer courses. Of the, quote, more affordable courses, he said that Sky Mountain was one of his favorites as well.
Yeah, and that tracks. This is a pretty good course.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to share that notes because I thought that was really interesting. I was just like, that explains it.
It does. It
Fantastic.
explains a lot.
But back to the sim.
Okay.
Our sim, we're going to, before we start with where we're at now, let's go back a little bit in time.
I think we should talk about our initial ideas for the sim instead of just jumping what it is now, because our whole goal was just we wanted to swing a golf club in the dead of winter.
Yeah, and part of that was Cody and I, we both have 3D printers, and so we had developed these putter grips for VR, and we set up a little Etsy store and started selling them. And we sold a fair number. We made a little bit of money, and so we were trying to figure out what to do with the money, how to invest it. And Cody suggested some sim options that he had been looking into. Can you talk us through what you had found?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, but I remember going back even a little bit further. When I was a teenager, with a friend of the show, Parker, we kind of had this same idea. We couldn't always make it to the driving range, being poor teenagers, and we just wanted to be able to swing. We went to the Army Navy surplus store and bought a crummy old fishing net that smelled like seawater and hung it up on some bars similar to like a soccer, pole setup.
Yeah.
So that we could hit into that. Set it up in his backyard. Very first shot with a 9-iron, skied over the net and went into the neighbor's yard.
That's awesome.
Yep, that tracks.
And so put that on hold, but I was just like, man, it would just be so awesome to have access to a sim. And we've gone to some indoor sims that have kind of the projector on the screen and kind of the, virtual golf course. And how cool would that be? And so I started looking at options for there. And this was right about the time I feel that due to COVID, a lot of companies started pushing for golf sim technology.
Yeah, that was
because
a great time for that.
A lot of those, like the golf ball sim trackers, they've been around for a while, but they've been $5-7 grand.
Well, and
minimum,
and there were like 4 to choose from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like TrackMan and
Bushnell.
Bushnell was not even around. I mean, they came later to
What is
the
it,
game.
the quad?
It's the quad,
the quad,
GQ, yeah, and so you're talking $5,000, $7,000, $10,000.
So
And that's just for the hardware. Then you had to pay for the software.
Yeah.
It was expensive.
Yeah, so it all seemed completely out of reach. And then Garmin came out with their radar-only technology for the Garmin R10.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was, I think when it came out, it was like $500, which was reachable.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're like, we still need a net. We still need a screen. We still need this. And so I think that from the technology side, that's where I started looking down. What if we got this, that? And then John Paul and Eric, well, I guess I started with the canvas idea, didn't I?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the first iteration, we grabbed canvas, like the painting drop cloth from
It's just from Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight, yeah. The cheapest possible option. I picked up a little $100 projector from Amazon, and then we all pitched in together and put in a couple $100 for the R10.
Yeah, and to give you an idea with this canvas construction, it was 4 squares of canvas. They weren't quite squares, which was part of the problem. They were actually rectangles.
Yes.
My sweet wife hand sewed all of them together into a rough cube shape.
It was a cube minus the door for us to walk through and the floor.
And the floor.
Yeah.
A floorless, doorless cube.
And we wanted to keep some tension in it so it wasn't so saggy. So we put some poles in key areas to drag it down.
Electrical conduit.
Electrical conduit.
How well did that work?
Well, so as you have heard from the intro, we hooked it up. We also had carabiners on some rope so we could hang it, and we got it all set up. And John Paul, we were still zip tying some stuff together. Cody and I were back behind John Paul, and John Paul just couldn't hold his excitement. He was like a little kid on Christmas Day. unwrapping a present and just wanted to play with it. What do you want to go?
Well, you told the story already. I mean, everybody thins one every once in a while. I thinned it. It wouldn't have mattered if I hit it or
Every
Cody
once
hit it
in a
or
while,
you hit
very
it.
first shot.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered if it had been 2 inches further down. But as we put it up, we're like, do we need it all the way to the ground? No, we'll never hit it.
We're never going to hit it that thin. Yeah, we hit it that thin immediately.
So yeah, it hit the concrete barrier, the
Foundation.
yeah, my
right?
foundation,
Yeah.
and came back and it hit my watch, and it just destroyed my watch. But I was fine. Luckily, it was very scary.
But this is very important because with any new toy, you are very excited about it, but you never respect it until it injures you.
We had a Ralphie from Christmas Story moment. You'll shoot your eye out. We want the Red Ryder BB gun.
I drive four-wheelers. I love four-wheelers. I used to drive four-wheelers really more aggressively. You drive four-wheelers really aggressively until the first time you crash one, and then you still have fun on them, but you respect them. And the first time I crashed a four-wheeler, it was a learning experience. Luckily, I was not injured. I was just scared out of my mind.
Sometimes that's a mistake you could only make once.
Yeah. You know me, though. I'm a coward. I value my life way too much to actually drive anything too fast. But, so I will say from the first iteration of the Sim, there was a lot to be desired, but it did work.
It did work. Some of the things, the drawbacks, because of the way that we built it with that semi-cube shape, the roof of the cube, we put in all kinds of carabiners and stuff to try and raise the roof a little bit, as it were.
Help.
It didn't help. We couldn't bring out driver or anything more than an iron, really.
Yeah.
And so we were very limited with what we could play.
And we were using a super small, low lumen projector.
Yeah, it was
so
the
you
cheapest
really
thing I could get on
couldn't
Amazon.
see what was working on the screen.
We would have to turn off the lights in the garage to try and use it, and it shouldn't have affected radar technology.
It totally did.
It totally did. That Garmin failed to pick up the ball, I'd say
50% of the time.
that's a bit. I was going to go 30 to 40.
Yeah, it
which,
was a lot.
which
Really
is
fair, though.
still really high
Yeah.
when you're just trying to play.
Well, the other major issue with it, like you mentioned with the cube, even with the carabiners and everything of that nature, it negatively impacted my swing because I was terrified that I was going to hit the canvas.
Yeah.
Because I hit the canvas a lot. Like, I've got a big full swing, and I finish with high hands. And the whole season after we used that, my swing thought that you heard me say over and over was finish with high hands, because I got into the habit of sawing everything off to prevent myself from destroying the Sim.
I'm just going to hit and stop.
Yeah, part of my problem learning to golf was that I started learning on that. And so all my shots, it took me a while to get used to the full swing.
And the canvas was not the right material.
Yep.
We ripped the canvas and the seams very quickly.
Yeah.
Many times in many places. And my sweet wife kept sewing it back together because she's incredibly loving and patient.
And I think we also tried patching a couple of areas too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the canvas was heavy.
It took a long time to set up. And
I think it lasted
heavy.
a year, maybe 2.
We did one season with it, and then I think we were like, that was great. We got to golf in the off season. We got to do something
We
else.
put it up the very first time the next season, and it was in such bad disrepair from spending the entire winter. Then that's when we began designing too. We just basically put it up and looked at it and said, nope, got to try something else.
Do you know why we went with the canvas?
Because it was the cheapest
cheap.
option.
We were being cheap. And wouldn't you know it, you can Google golf nets, and many results pop up.
Yeah.
And I think we decided, okay, let's do this the right way.
Yeah.
Never mind. Time to get a golf net.
So
Now-
John Paul, I believe you were the one that designed the current iteration. What was the thought process for you?
So I did a bunch of looking online at like prefabricated golf sims that you can buy, and they're quite nifty. The ones that were most appealing to me is that literally very rich people can afford to have ones installed where they go and push a button and it deploys from the ceiling.
Yeah.
So it sucks up into the ceiling and goes away, and then it can deploy back back out with the nets and everything. And I was like, man, that is freaking awesome. That's beautiful. And then you look at the price tag for something like that, and you're like,
it's not that cool.
Good Lord. Like that, I'm never going to be in striking distance of that. But we're all three very nerdy people. And I work at a STEM school. I like designing and building and mocking up things. We all have specialities in what we do with electronics and 3D printing and CAD and woodworking and metalworking and welding. Like we're makers. The three of us are makers. We like making things. And I'm like, surely the three of us can derive something from this design that could be replicated for a lot less money. And so we went on Amazon and went crazy. And we bought some golf nets, which were quite inexpensive. We bought a bunch of zip ties, which were quite inexpensive.
We have, if you do decide to do this, some feedback that we have on the zip ties. We got some regular zip ties, and those work great for the netting, putting the netting together and zip tying that together.
Mm-hmm.
But holding our screen on, we've noticed that the impact on that tends to pop those zip ties.
Yep.
So we got the rubbery ones. We'll put it on our list, but those ones are much better. So if you're interested, check out that.
They have enough hold to hold everything tight, but also enough give that if it needs to stretch on impact, it can.
It can do that. We salvaged some of the electrical conduit to give it weight on the bottom so that the screen could rebound quickly after strike. And then the sim screen that we found was a golf sim screen, but it is... I expected it to be more like a projector screen to feel almost like a vinyl, and it's not that at all. It's a nice wispy fabric.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And that makes it light, but it's also very durable. Like, we've been pounding into that thing now for a couple of years, and
I haven't even seen a mark.
There's no deformation to speak of.
And we did put a net behind it as well.
Yes.
So imagine our cube without the front and the bottom.
Yeah.
And replace all of that with official like golf netting, and except directly on the back wall, if you're standing there facing it from the front, is the golf screen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have pictures on our Instagram if you're interested.
Yeah. And so the design idea that I came up with and that we kind of ended up with was that if we could get the guts from a roller blind, which is what I bought a big set of sunshade roller blind hardware to go on the end. We wrap this whole thing up in a nice flat package, and we can just roll it up like a roller blind, and it's mounted to the ceiling of Eric's garage. So when it's time for us to go out, we just get our little hook thing, click it in there, roll it down just like it's a roller blind, take the nets, put them out to the side, clip them to the little C-clips in the ceiling, and the net, the screen, all that's taken care of in seconds.
It's like a 5-minute setup.
Yeah.
The two other things that were great about this setup, first off, when we started using the roller arm thing, the first one was just one of the cheap ones you can get. It bent very quickly. It could not handle the force of it. So John Paul made a much more robust one,
Yes.
and it works beautifully.
So if you have a roller shade that is not treating you well, I can fabricate you an S-hook that will never fail.
Or just
Send money.
or we can put the designs online. You can figure it
that's
out.
fine.
It's funny when it's rolled up, it's like a foot in diameter. It's this big giant roll around this piece of conduit.
It's awesome. It looks great up there, but it's completely out of the way. It takes zero space to store it. It's not in the way at all, which is fantastic. And we did choose Eric's garage because he is a minimalist and keeps everything incredibly clean. My garage is not that way.
My car garage says it's a 2-car garage. I think it's maybe a 1.2 with a low ceiling.
And many, many things.
Yes.
And Eric is very good about dejunking, and so his garage, he parks the cars outside, and it looks like the Sim is the only thing it's for. It's fantastic.
The other thing that made the Sim a great upgrade, John Paul was able to snag us an amazing deal on a projector. It is a very nice projector, and it makes the whole thing.
Yeah.
I would say without that, it's nowhere near as good.
Yeah, and that's because I'm a school principal, and we, during that period of time, were upgrading the technology in our district, getting away from projector-based smart boards and moving to basically giant touchscreen televisions, which are fantastic for instruction. We have these big 83-inch inner-right boards, and they're magnificent, but it meant that the district had a huge number of these projectors in surplus, and so I went to our surplus site and bid on a lot of 3 projectors and picked them up super cheap. And so I have one for showing movies in my backyard, one for the Sim, and one as I keep as a spare if either of those 2 blow up.
Nice.
So,
There's one last piece of our Sim that kind of brings it all together, and that's the golf mat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Tell us the
Because-
story of the golf mat, because Cody scored this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we started shopping around for golf mats because you can buy if you Google on like Amazon or whatever and do golf mat, tons of really cheap options. They are garbage.
Yes, they are.
And if
We
you,
had one for a while, and it was not good.
And if you've been to like a range where they make you play off the mats, it's not a great. Every golfer I know would always rather hit off of real grass.
Yes.
But, any port in a storm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you look on eBay and you can find, there's one particular company that sells refurbed or old golf mats, and they still charge like $300-$400 for a 4x4
Yeah.
Man.
turf. And I was just like, that's as much as we spent on the Sim is like the Garmin.
Yeah.
And so I just started calling around some local golf shops just to see if anybody by chance had any old mats or whatever, because it was kind of close to the end of the season. Maybe they switch them out. I don't know. And one course I called, the dude's like, yeah, we've got some extra old mats in the back. And I was like, cool, how much? And he's like, let me just go check. And he comes back after a couple of minutes. He's like, yeah, I can get you one for like $30. And I was like, I am on my way. Don't move.
Uh-huh.
And I get there and I was like, hey, I talked to you on the phone. And he's like, oh, yeah, I told you the wrong price for the wrong mats. And I was like, what? He's like, here, let me show you. And so we hopped in his golf cart and went back to like their storage area.
Mm-hmm.
And the mats that he was telling me were like the thin, old, crappy,
Yeah.
I don't even know why they had them here. And I was like, oh, man. And he's like, I told you the wrong price, though. He's like, this pile here of mats, which is like a 4x4 mat with rubber that you stand on, and then probably like a 1x4 strip of nice turf. He's like, I'll give you that whole setup for $30 because I told you wrong.
That's so nice.
And I was like,
such a good deal.
I was like, I don't want to get you in trouble, man. Like, I get it. It happens. He's like, you came all this way and it was my fault. And honestly, I don't blame the dude because they literally had a stack of like 70 of them.
Yeah, they have to refresh them pretty regularly.
And I was like, if you're cool with that, man, I'll do it. And he's like, yeah. And I had my compact SUV with me.
Yeah, I'll bet that was tough to get that in there.
So
And that thing weighs as much as several dead people.
It
It's
does.
very heavy.
And we had my wife and son with me. So my son's in his car seat, my wife's in the front, and I'm shoving this thing in the back of our car. And it's like overhanging. It's a little dirty.
And your wife is probably thinking it's that you're going to pick up like a 2-foot section of grass, and you show up with this 900-pound piece of rubber.
And I'm like shoving it into our car, and I could tell she wasn't very happy because it's not very clean. It's being stored outdoors.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, well, here we go. And we got it in, and it's been great.
It has.
Like,
Yep.
buying that even used would probably be a couple $200-$300.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's great. The only downside to it is that weight. When I do the sim setup, I text the guys, I pull out my cars, I set up the entire thing in less than 5 minutes.
Except that.
Except
And he waits
I
for us
stand
to
there,
come so we can drag it all
I
together.
stand there and look at it and go, and then I pull it over.
My favorite is after we're done simming and we put everything up, the net's away, the projector's off and everything. And I just kind of start half, heartedly kicking at the stupid rubber.
Like, as though it's going to move.
John
None
Paul
of us-
comes over. We both start kicking it with our feet. And we should just pick it up with our hands. It'd be way better. You know what we should probably do? If we drilled a little tiny hole on both ends so we could get a little S-hook so we could just drag it with like a rope.
It has holes in parts of it. We could probably just
Does
do
it?
that. Yeah.
Because I think part of it is bending down and that heavy
Yeah.
load to the ground.
We just need Eric's kids to get older so they can move it for us.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
going to be several years.
one last thing that I want to put in before we talk about the cost of the sim and planning and everything. I know we're rambling on, but one of the issues with playing golf in a garage in wintertime is that it gets very, very cold. And one of the issues that we had when we initially built the sim is that my garage is a heated garage, and it's very, very warm and gets very, very cozy. Eric's garage was very, very cold, and we went through several iterations of heaters, everything from like a stone fire pit to propane heaters to a huge propane heater that we call Mount Vesuvius that we actually couldn't run in his garage because it ended up giving us all carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah.
Like, there was all kinds of issues. And a couple of years prior to that, my wife had bought me an electric heating unit for my garage, which is a big 220-volt heating unit that went in the corner, and I could turn it on. It would just get my garage very toasty.
Can I ask why you needed that if you had a heated garage already?
No, that
was
is,
a heater.
That was what made it heated. It didn't come
okay.
heated. I made it heated.
I thought you meant when you built your house.
But when we built
yeah.
the first sim, my garage was heated. It's just my garage is more cluttered, and so we decided to use Eric's garage because it's cleaner.
Because John Paul's constantly
But it's
working
really,
on
really
cars.
cold. And so we were down on our first St. George golf trip, and we went to the DI down there to see if we could pick up some used golf clubs for a golf challenge.
So DI is like
It's a used
like
thrift
a
store.
donation thrift store.
Yeah. And while we were going around, they had an exact doppelganger of the heater in my garage, which I paid many hundreds of dollars for $15, brand new.
It didn't have the wires, so you couldn't test it. So that is probably
well,
why.
it did have the wire, but it was wired. You had to be direct wired for 220.
Yeah, it's hardwired.
And so there was not like a 110 plug to just plug it in and try it. So they probably didn't even know.
They had no idea, but it clearly had never been installed. It was clearly brand new. Somebody bought it for a project. It didn't end up getting used. It got sent to as a donation, and we picked it up for $15. And I'm still a little bitter about that because mine was really expensive.
Well, and we didn't know if it would even work. We were like, well, it's $15. We got to try
Let's
it.
try it. It took $100 worth of wire to install it.
It's true. And conduit and everything. Yeah, it was
But still, that has massively improved the experience in there as well. If you take everything that we put together, if you wanted to replicate the sim that we have, I'm confident you could replicate it aside from the mat for under $1,000.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You would have to get probably a used projector if you don't have access to
Go
one.
on to Public Surplus and pick one up.
But the Garmin R10 is now, I think, like $350, $400.
And you could pick one up on Facebook Marketplace for much cheaper.
Yeah, and I will say of the Garmin, and it is kind of a, quote, entry-level golf sim device.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stats that we wish were a bit more accurate. But for hitting a golf ball in the middle of winter and seeing roughly where it's going to go and getting some decent numbers, it's great.
It gives great data. It has its limitations. So
It's
I'm not
fun.
going to say that it's perfect, but anything that would give a significant bump in performance for us, it's not like it's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
To get up into that range, you're looking $5,000-$6,000 to get that next level, next tier performance. Of anything sub $5,000, it competes with the best of them, and I think it's still a very viable piece of technology.
John Paul had sent Eric and I an article from Golf Spy magazine, and it ranked kind of all the different golf sims for this year. And it was just funny. It gave everything an overall score out of 10. And the lowest on the list was the Garmin R10, but it was an 8.1.
Yeah.
An 8.1 is fantastic.
It's great, yeah. So we love the R10. We're great fans. It's got some limitations. It's got some issues, but for entry level, if you don't want to go Garmin, the Rasfidi is another really good one, and its entry level price. It's fairly reasonable and
Square.
And the new SkyTrack. The old SkyTrack, rather. Last year's SkyTrack is in that same price range and has much of the same functionality.
Yep.
The tricky part with a lot of these sims is the subscription as well.
Yeah. But the R10 doesn't have a subscription that you have to pay for. So we picked up Awesome Golf, and that I think it has a lifetime membership, so it wasn't too pricey.
Yep.
But we love Awesome Golf.
We
It's a
do
lot
love
of fun.
Awesome Golf. And it's not perfect, but it's a lot of fun.
So now that we've talked about the sim itself, and I will say, we shook off the dust of it last week, and it was like as if we've been using it the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything connected, everything was great. Very minimal repairs need to be done. I think we replaced 2 zip ties.
Yeah, last year there was a little bit more. The zip ties that we originally had kind of loosened a little bit, so it had fallen down. But this year we made sure that it was put away in a different way so that didn't have an issue.
But I did want to kind of have 2 follow-ups here to talk about briefly. And one is our goals while we're in the sim. And 2 is, in the sim, we've set it up so that we can hit our irons. We can drive. We can even do chipping, a decent job at chipping. Putting is something that we will not have access to. This sim does not allow putting.
Mm-hmm.
And John Paul, you had mentioned kind of off air that you're like, I think I got an idea that might help us from the putting side.
Yeah, and it's actually threefold. The issue with wintertime is that you lose short game feel. I don't think we can totally mitigate that, but I have 3 thoughts about putting that I think will help pay dividends when the spring comes. Number 1 is that I think we need to put a putting green in Eric's garage. I am building a mini golf course in my backyard, and as part of that endeavor, I had done a test of various turfs to see which one would be the longest one. The turf that I ended up buying was magnificent and stupid expensive. So there's no chance I'm going to do it.
The longest, probably?
It lasts the longest. It was a super high-quality putting turf from the company that did my backyard.
Okay.
So it's really, really nice. I used half of it to build hole 1 as a test. And so you guys know hole 1 outside.
Yeah.
But I only used half of that roll. The rest of it had been living down in my garage as this big, huge piece of turf. It's sizable, and it rolls pretty much just like grass. I have nothing to do with it. It's literally sitting at my house in a roll doing nothing. If we can find a corner of your garage and you're willing, we could roll it out anywhere we could find space. You can drive on it with a car. It won't affect it. And it wouldn't. You could roll it out of the way if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But we could set it up, and what my thought would be, us being makers and things of this nature, I think it would be interesting to manufacture some underneath mounds and things that we could put in it to alter its topography, and we have 3D printed cups that we can already put on it. But that gives you a slightly longer putting surface that you can do a little bit of putting. It's not long enough to be considered lag putting, but it's still something, and it's better than what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
The mounds would have to be very subtle.
Very subtle, very, very thin, like literally probably cut out of cardboard and stuck underneath.
Oh, I was thinking like, what's that? The composite board. We could use that too.
Yeah, like the brown not the particle board, but the
hardy board.
Hardy board, yeah.
Hardy board, yeah.
Hardy board could do it as well, but it would have to be that subtle because you don't want to do what
TGL did.
What TGL did and made the greens completely unputtable. Yeah, so I think that's step 1.
Okay.
That's an indoor solution that we could do in the dead of winter. Solution 2 has to do with the fact that the holidays are coming and all of us will have a little bit of time off in the winter. And often with snow and things of that nature, you can't get a round of golf in, and we're all really quite busy. But I'm wondering if there's an opportunity at some of the neighboring courses, even the kind of crummy ones, like not even going all the way to our home course, where we could just go for like a half an hour on a morning to their putting green and practice lag putting.
Yeah.
As long as there's no snow on the ground,
As long as there's no snow on the ground, which is actually getting increasingly rare in this state. Standing snow doesn't last very long here anymore.
Yeah.
So I think I think that should be part of it. The third one is a technique change that I am toying with doing this year, and
he's buying the lock arm sweet
no
putter.
It's not that radical, but it is very radical.
He's buying a lab.
I want to invite the 2 of you to try this with me and see if it pays dividends. Okay,
Practice putting in your sleep.
I'm a feel putter, and I've always been a feel putter. One of the reasons why I'm a feel putter is because I have like the worst eyesight in the world, and so I'm a terrible green reader. I just the lenses that I'm forced to wear warp the ground so badly that literally how I read a putt is everything looks like it breaks right to left. So if I read it from the front, it looks like it breaks right to left. If I read it from the back, it looks like it breaks from left to right. And I split the difference between how much I think it's going to break looking those 2 ways, and that's how much it's going to break.
That would be the same.
Oh, yeah, right. But you get what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Like it's warped so badly one way that I'm just splitting the difference between the warp. And so I've not been a great reader of putts in the past. And so being very feelsy, I noticed myself this season getting kind of lazy about my lines. Like I would pick a line, and I knew my line, like inside right edge or inside left edge. But you may have heard me say, oh, I pushed that, I tugged that. Like I was saying that all the time. And as I've been watching you guys through this course of the season, I frequently stand behind your putts when you putt. Not to get a read off you or anything, just so that I can help and whatnot. And I watch those putts. We push and pull a lot of putts and don't start on our line. And I think it's not a technique issue as much as it is not committing to the line well enough to roll it on that line. And so most pros use a mark on their ball that is a line. They align that mark to their intended line. They putt across it. They have immediate feedback whether they pushed it or pulled it because the line will wobble if they got it wrong.
Yeah.
And you bought us some very cool ball markers. Coda's bought us some very cool ball markers for the last thing as a fun Temu gift or whatever. They're very cool. I like them. I'm going to make that my primary ball marker for this winter and also for the spring. And I'm going to experiment with using the line on my ball to place it as a line. But what I need your help with is to make sure I'm not taking too much time to do it because I won't give up fast play to implement that change. But I think being more precise about our lines can only help.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
that's fair. I am an egregious offender of that because I will admit that there's many times that I just kind of, okay, I know roughly where I'm kind of aiming and I stand up with my putt. And then as I pull back my putter at the last second, I'm like, actually, I want to go 2 inches to the left. Instead of stopping my putt stroke on the fly, I'll just adjust with my hands and putt through. And I'm like, oh, I need to go a little bit left to right. Let me just kind of pull back a little and add some sideways spin on that. Like I'm a video game.
Yeah.
Like I am a really bad offender of that.
Yeah, and I think it could help, and I think it helps with the mentality because you always want to lag a putt up there, okay? You have to be thinking about the second putt when you hit the first putt because you just need to get it within that area. But I think our goal has been getting it within 3 feet. I think good golfers, their goal is to get it in the hole, but hit it with the speed that it'll stop within 3 feet. And I don't think our mentality is that. And I think if we were legit trying to make the first one and being precise enough to say this is the exact line I need to hole it, even if it doesn't result in more first putts made, it's got to improve the result on the second one and dive down the number of 3 putts.
I think the caveat on that is that when those first putts miss, sometimes I find myself in the attitude of I'm going to go for it. And we do this when we play like a scramble or a match play or whatever, where it's kind of like, I'm going to give it a run, which generally means I'm going to hit it hard almost right at the
I'm going to pound it through the break, right?
And you can't do that.
No, you can't pound it through the break.
Right.
You have to commit to the line that you are going to do, and then you match the line with the speed. We also, I'll bet if we looked at our stats, how many we leave short versus how many we hit long, we leave short oodles more than we hit long.
Do you remember the VR golf? I think it's just VR Golf Plus or whatever it's called. And you know how it gives you the line of your putt?
Yeah, I need to see that.
That's
in
what
my mind.
That's what I imagine in my when I look. I'm like, okay, I'm following the contours, and this is roughly what I think of what I want my ball to do. But then I hit it, and I don't see if that's what happened. I do the planning all up until I hit it, and then I'm just kind of like, okay, did it work? I don't see if it followed that line, and that might be good to watch.
That's where that line feedback comes, is looking. And the other thing that I don't take advantage of is I often get, especially when I miss one, like when I miss one short or I miss one too long, like I know I'm not in the friendly tap-in region, I find myself so annoyed at myself for hitting a bad putt. And what I need to be doing instead is paying very close attention to what the ball is actually doing to inform the next putt.
Yeah. We're all
I'm so guilty of that. I need to be paying attention.
When you're above the hole and you putt, and if it follows a curve and you miss, and now you end up below the hole, more often than not, that second putt's going to be a straight putt because it's going to follow the contour and stop right below the hole.
Yeah, but there should never be any question about how much it's going to break because you watched it go. Like, you know exactly how much that breaks if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
So So those are the three things that I've thought of. I'm open to many other ideas. So no crazy claw grip. I love my putter. I'm not going to screw with my grip. I've got that. But I do want to experiment with using a line and a very intentional line, work on that mentality. Let's set up a green in your garage. If it's annoying, we can take it back out. It's no skin in the game. And then let's find some mornings and put on a big fluffy hat and some mittens and go golf.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. The only other notes that I've had is we've talked about trying to chase speed in the sim, and we've kind of talked about we kind of wanted to work out.
Yeah.
Is there a specific workout routine, and how do we keep ourselves accountable? Do we work
Come
out?
on, pump it up.
Do we work
Get
out
it into your system.
Do we work out together, or do we need to get one of those apps that we have to check in? What do you guys think?
Man, this is such a good question. I don't know if I can do this cold. I might have to think about this for the next episode. I think we absolutely do need to be accountable for each other.
Yeah, because if I am sitting at home and I think I should work out, or I could play on the Switch, I'm going to pick up the Switch every time.
So I agree with you that I have actually already established a bit of a routine. I have a workout that I do 3 times a week.
You're much better than me.
In my office. I set it up so that it's almost like it takes up minimal space, and I use those like elastic bands and the carabiners on my wall. So it's mostly resistance training. And it takes about a half hour, and then I'm done. And I don't know, it is just so easy because when I'm done, the elastic bands just hang on the wall and they just stay there, and it's out of the way. Still have my office as normal, but it's in my office so that when I come down to work, I just go a half hour early, do my workout, and then I start working.
I have 2 schools of thought, and I would like your honest opinion on them, because I think both of them could work for me.
Okay.
I think we should do a point value for workouts. So like perhaps it's a point per minute that everyone's working out or something of that nature, and we could report it on a shared spreadsheet or some sort of shared app where we're being accountable to one another. The question becomes, do we pool our minutes for a collective reward to ourselves, or do we compete with these minutes for some sort of you guys are going to buy something for me reward? I think that there's 2 ways to go about doing that. But I'm with you. I need something like that, or I'm not going to do it. And last year, my whole excuse was my basement was not done. I have an exercise room, and I had all the furniture from everywhere else in my basement in my exercise room. My exercise room is blissfully, completely empty. It's got exercise equipment in it. It's warm. It's got a TV down there. I have zero excuse not to work out at least once a week.
Can I share a thought on this? And you guys might disagree because I was the sole benefactor of our last competition in this regard, which I'm very, very grateful for. That competition brought out some nastiness a little in between us. I would love, especially in terms of workout where it's about health, where we're trying to do better. The last thing I think any of us want to do is get discouraged. I kind of like the idea of, as a group, what kind of score can we get and what collectively can we reward ourselves with?
I have an idea.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys will like it at all.
That's okay. Put it out there. We can edit
that
it
was
out
an
if we hate it.
ominous voice. That's
All right. The idea I have is we plan our next year golf trip. We plan 3 different versions.
Oh, gosh.
And depending on how well we do, we reward ourselves accordingly.
You know, it's going to be really hard to just be like, screw it, let's just do the best one.
No, we have to hold ourselves to it.
Do you know what we could do with that? I think there's other factors at play when you're planning a golf trip like that. We're married people. We're not in command of our finances or our time as much as we would love to be. Perhaps we pick an element of the trip, though, and we plan that element and make that element of the trip compliant about our workout routine.
Can you expound on that further? Because
It
the
could
only thing I'm
be-
thinking, Eric, is like, well, if we don't get this many points, then we're bringing our families with us. And
No,
if it's
no. Let me give you
We stay at
four.
this worst hotel.
at the Motel 8.
Let me give
Oh.
you. Let me give you a couple of things that we could compromise and a couple of things that we could not compromise on. Okay, so like we could compromise on accommodations. So if we are at the lowest tier, we're gonna find a crummy Airbnb, and
I don't
you know
like
what I
that.
mean?
Nope, I couldn't commit to that.
No.
I could commit to a crappy golf course, not where I'm sleeping.
I mean, we're not- we're
I'm
never-
not. I'm the other opposite way. I am not compromising. If I am going on a trip to play golf, I am not compromising on the golf. The golf is going to be what I play. That's what I care
Interesting.
the most about.
See, the thing is, I'm not saying that we're going to stay at the Taj Mahal, but if I've stayed at some really bad places, and if you can't sleep, it's going to ruin your golf game too.
That's true. That's true.
So we're not going to punish ourselves that
But
way.
if it doesn't hurt, you're not going to be motivated.
We might need to
work
think
out.
this over.
So
Yeah.
I have a potential idea
Okay.
as if we did the tier idea. Tier 1, we don't get to leave the valley.
Oh.
We can play some nice courses in Salt Lake area, but we don't get to leave the Salt Lake City greater area.
Okay.
Tier 2 is our St. George or Mesquite.
We
kind
don't
of
get to leave
that area.
Utah.
Don't get to leave the state.
Yeah. Well, Mesquite, I would lump in with that. It's close enough in Vegas. Tier 3, that's when we can either go over to like the Northern California or to like the Ozarks or to, back east or something. The caveat.
If any of us get cast by the MCU because of our workout routine and our incredible bodies, then we can go internationally.
Yeah,
That's true. and I will say
'cause that's likely to happen.
the
completely
caveat
likely. It's
on
totally
one of those
reliable.
higher tiers is that may look like a family trip for us,
With golf included in it.
which we've done before.
It was lovely.
It is great. Yeah. But that's just some potential ideas for us to mull on.
I like it.
I think my wife would love to go up to the Redwoods. Like if we were looking at
My
that
wife
trip
too.
that we were doing in
Yeah.
Oregon, I think the families could have a fantastic time doing that, and I still think we could get a couple days of golf in,
Yeah,
and it
I do
wouldn't
too.
be an issue.
With enough planning, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But that we should come up with some sort of rubric of what those scores should look like, because I like the idea kind of minutes worked out.
Yeah.
But also we need to see, like, calculate the number of minutes in an ideal scenario versus the middle versus the lowest.
Well, and
Well,
I
and
think
what the workout is.
I
'Cause
think-
it's like
yeah.
lifting my leg over and over. That's not worth it.
Well, I think all of us are motivated to a degree. If we're going to work out, we're going to do something that's going to be impactful. I don't think any of us is just
Yeah.
going to lie there on our phone. Like if we are taking the time is the issue here.
Yeah.
Do we
But-
get to add bonus points for listeners that check in their workout minutes?
No.
If they're not related, sure. But no family relations can help.
Okay, but let me get back to what I was going to say. Here's the deal. I think we have to, before the next episode, get a baseline on this.
Yeah.
So between now and the next time we record, keep track of how many workouts you do, how many minutes there are, and roughly what you're doing.
Okay.
And get an idea of, is that more than you feel you can sustain? Is it less than you feel you can sustain? Is it reasonable? Right now, my baseline would be 0.
Yeah. Same.
Right, so I need some
we need to
time to set a baseline before
Yeah.
we can write any goals in the sand about what is reasonable, because we are busy
So
men.
here's the thing, though, as well. Like, do we have points based on the type of activity? Because an hour of walking is different than 30 minutes of running.
It is different.
It is different from 30 minutes of running. None of us is doing 30 minutes of running.
It was an example.
I could do 30 minutes of swimming.
Yeah,
I would
But
do that.
do you know what I mean, though?
I
Like,
do
there's
know.
different
I do.
levels.
I do know what you mean. I just don't know if.
Should we keep it simple?
I think we keep,
Yeah,
it,
keep it
simple.
simple.
I think if you're using time and you're using it to improve your body, it's got to count. I know what I need. I need flexibility training. I need strength training in my core, and I need strength training in my upper torso.
Yep.
That's what I got to have. Like if I
need
don't
strength
have
in
that,
general.
I'm not going to get to where I'm going to do. I could use cardio, but that's not going to be what I need. What I need is core strength.
So what we need to do on sim night is go to your little studio in your basement and do a half hour of yoga, and then we'll jog over to Eric's garage and sim.
No deal.
No,
Oh.
I hate jogging. So
You live 200 feet away.
I can't. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not far enough to jog to actually make a difference. It's just enough to annoy me. But I will say that, as I said, the exercise room is available. It sounds like you have a nice setup. Of course, you have a very nice house, Eric, but you're welcome to come over. And if we want to coordinate some of the workouts, it would be totally appropriate for us to use the
I
exercise
think you have
room
the
to do that.
best
It's a
workout
nice setup.
materials.
To be successful, checking in, as you mentioned, both of you, that has to be a regular part of this. And also, like, we're all doing this for our betterment, lifting up mentality instead of...
Yeah, we can
breaking
encourage one another.
Yeah.
And many Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes.
Yeah.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Rocky montage of us getting buff.
It's going to be good. Okay, so we'll do that. As a beginning baseline, here's what I think we do. I think we've got a text thread that goes between each of us. Whenever you're working out, text the others, say, working out 30 minutes.
Okay.
That'll give us an idea of like what we're doing and when we're doing it. And then when we get back together next time, we can set some realistic goals, get some benchmarks. And between now and then, we can start thinking creatively about how we might, without risking damage to our marriages, reward ourselves for these efforts.
That's fair.
That is a really important thing.
That's very
Yes, it
important.
is.
My marriage is very important to me. I'd like to not jeopardize it, please.
All right, we talked plenty about golf. Now it's time for...
Talk nerdy to me.
Hooray.
Talk nerdy to me. I can't do
Getting
it.
better. It's
That's
just
a little
stop
bit.
doing it. It's
Talk
just
nerdy
Aw.
to me.
That was
Just
insulting.
stop trying.
Have you tried forcing an unexpected reboot?
This guy's run the data line right next to the power supply.
Amateur hour.
Excuse me, are you from the past?
Jam last for
are you-
ages.
See, this is where Roy. Anybody know what we're talking about? It's from the IT Crowd, which is a fantastic
You've not
little
watched
miniseries.
it. You need
have to.
It's so good.
But Roy is just one of my favorite characters, and be like, "Pff, "What are you eating?" It's a bucket of chicken.
bucket of fried chicken.
Bucket of fried chicken.
It comes in a bucket.
That kind of advertising doesn't work on me. I'm so thirsty.
Where's a cuke?
My dad was particularly proud of the IT department, with a dynamic go-getter, a genius, and a man from Ireland.
Oh gosh, that show
But
was so good.
Today's Talk Nerdy to Me, and I think we did slightly mention this in the past. We talked about golfing on different planets in different kind of universes. I think we mostly talked about Star Wars, and I had talked about, kind of golfing in kind of one of the beach, type planets, and we talked about how we never want to go to Tatooine. Eric, you came up with this question, and I riffed on it a little bit. Let's say that you're a semi-senior Imperial officer on the Death Star. So you have some rank, meaning you have a bit of autonomy in terms of, how something, a sector of the Death Star is managed and planned and built. What amenities are you adding to your sector, knowing that you essentially live on the Death Star?
Are you ready? I'm going to start at the very beginning. As a senior officer on the Death Star, the first thing that I'm doing is installing an extremely extravagant coffee bar. Now, to be clear, I don't drink coffee, but I love the smell of coffee.
You just want it
I just
wafting through.
I want gourmet coffee wafting.
I'll drink your gourmet coffee.
in my area of influence. I think.
Why
that's
don't you just, get one of those, I'm sure.
Coffee-scented candles.
Yeah, or something.
No,
like
no,
that.
no. It's
Gotta
got to be
be
the
real
real
stuff.
thing,
It
and I am
smells so much
calling it Sith roast in honor of the Phineas and
Sith roast!
Sith roast. No, I
Okay.
need Sith roast in my Death Star. That's very important, and it's going to be great for morale of anybody else who's working in my sector.
Fair. Okay.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, I am bringing in an optometrist. I would like the people in my sector to have vision screenings regularly. Because stormtroopers, if they could shoot,
Oh,
would
that is a nerdy cut right
they need
there.
optometry. So I'm bringing in an optometrist, and coupled with next door to my optometrist, I'm putting in a target shooting range. so that with their newfound eyesight, they can actually practice marksmanship. I'd like you to consider for one moment if all the stormtroopers in all of Star Wars could shoot as well as the 8 stormtroopers in the final season of Andor could shoot. The Empire is 1,000 times more terrifying.
So here's a question for you. You're an officer on the Death Star. Are you in support of, the Empire?
If I'm an officer on the Death Star, yes. I would never be an officer on the Death Star.
There are many that are deep undercover, as we learned from Andor.
Okay, I'm not getting into this backstory. You asked me what I would put on the Death Star.
This
is what I'd put on the Death Star.
I'm just saying, my only reason is I don't care if the stormtroopers miss, because secretly I'm a rebel at heart, and it benefits me when the stormtroopers are terrible at their jobs.
So you'd put in a bar and just get them sloshed.
I would just make sure that when manufacturing their helmets, that the visors are just slightly tilted so that it's just, you can't notice it.
You pansy, you're wearing armor. But it is made of plastic.
Sorry, go on.
Okay, final thing that I'm installing in my sector of the Death Star is my own private craft with which I may leave the Death Star should it be destroyed by rebels. Because it seems like escape routes from the Death Star are shockingly slim for something of that size containing that many people. It seems like there's almost a blatant disregard for human life in the design of that structure.
Okay.
So I want my own way off.
That's fair.
Ooh. If I can go one up, actually, I just go cross Star Wars. Maybe I install a transporter pad in my section of the Death Star, so I can just leave.
Let's gonna say that you have a permanent transporter pad on the other side of it. Where is it taking you?
It's taking me to Mos Eisley Cantina because that would just be a cool flex.
Of all the scum and villainy.
Yeah, now 25% more scum and villainy.
Yeah. Okay. Eric, looks like you've got a couple of ideas too.
All right. So my list, number 1, a really nice movie theater. I mean, people are going to need
Do you think
downtime.
that they would be allowed to watch movies other than Emperor propaganda?
I would insist on it. Because, propaganda is not fun.
I'm just joking.
I just had an image of all these stormtroopers watching 1950s black and white Italian love stories and just tears streaming out from under their helmets. That's a funny image.
Number 2, a competition arena. I put gaming, but I've kind of expanded upon it so that they could do different arena, have an arena that you could swap things out so people could go and have some good times.
Okay.
Number 3, some pubs, because pub food is the best. And last, just to make John Paul's life a little worse, a Mexican food joint.
With special cheese sauce?
Special cheese.
Oh, man. I actually had a movie theater on my list as well. I think that, the Death Star is essentially a military base. And you think of your soldiers, your stormtroopers as your soldiers. And what do you need them to do in your downtime? They need something for leisure.
Yep.
And, movies. I also thought of an arcade. I think you kind of have that as, what did you put as your arenas?
A competition arena, yeah.
Yeah, I put an arcade in there, just something to kind of, blow off steam or whatever.
Ooh, we could combine two of our ideas. Have you ever seen The Black Hole?
No.
Yes.
So there's a scene in The Black Hole where the robots that are extremely Stormtrooper-esque, they have a place that they go, and it's like a target shooting range, but there's these cool floaty, glowy balls. Star Trek stole the idea later, and they had it on the holodeck, and you could shoot them. So it's like a competition game, but they had a leaderboard and everything of how it's doing. So that's like a shooting range and an arena sport in one.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That could be very helpful.
You could also do some laser tag.
Yeah.
Put your squad against another squad. And
Don't bring...
Oh, that was a blaster. I'm so sorry.
This game's been going on for weeks. Why can't they shoot anybody?
Did you see the meme with the stormtroopers after a game of paintball? And they're all completely white. There's not a mark on them anywhere. Stormtroopers after a hard day of paintball.
Nice.
It's kind of like what do they
That's great.
say in Harry Potter that some games of Quidditch can last months because they have to find the golden
The
snitch.
Yeah.
I just imagine that's how long a game of laser tag between a group of stormtroopers would take.
Oh, it totally would.
All right, let's sub out our team members because this is just going to take forever. And I also really like the idea of good food across the board. And I'm sure that they already have this, but I would make sure that they have access to good medical attention, like a good doctor's office.
I don't know if that exists
I
in
don't
the
think
Star
they
Wars.
did. I think they basically like, oh, you look
Expendable.
wounded.
Have you seen
Please
what they
jump
do
out of
with
this
like
airlock.
that lady that got shot in? Oh, let's see. It's not the Mandalorian, but the other one with the,
The Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett. She gets shot in the stomach, and he like replaces it. Like that was
the slums.
okay. I have never seen a part in Star Wars where it didn't look like it was a little
It's the
questionable.
Bacta tanks, man. I'm just imagining Bacta tanks everywhere.
Skywalker's hand was pretty nice.
Wall to wall back to tanks.
I mean, Luke
Like you walk into a
Skywalker's
room,
hand.
there's a Bacta tank. You walk into the living room, there's another Bacta tank. We'll have a Bacta tank party.
I do like a Bacta tank. I wish I had a Bacta tank.
I wish
When
I
I
could
put on
sleep
my
in one.
CPAP machine at night, I feel like I'm in a Bacta tank. I'm like, just throw me in the tube.
I sometimes float in my hot tub and look up at the stars and pretend I'm in a Bacta tank.
Why not? When you were in a sensory deprivation tank, I know you've done that a couple of times, Eric. Did
Yeah.
it feel like you were in a Bacta tank?
A little bit. It was a little hard to give full disclosure. It's not a great experience because you're in a pod and they try to keep it warm and it's salt water. So when the salt water gets warm, it goes to the ceiling and then it drips down and it's dripping salt water onto your eyes.
Seems like
and stuff.
waterboarding you while
It
you were
was
trying to relax.
not
This
great.
sounds
Doesn't sound
terrible.
great. That does not sound great. By the way, the new season of Visions. Have you guys caught up on Visions at all?
No.
Okay, it's good. I enjoyed it, and I like the ones at the beginning of the season more than the ones at the end of the season, but it's worth a watch. Catch up on the Visions. It's pretty good. What annoyed me about Visions, though, is that recently we had Skeleton Crew, and I don't want to throw too much because it was made for kids and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
But that story was so badly fleshed out. It just had so much potential, and everything about it kind of disappointed. And the first 3 episodes of Vision, I would watch a whole season of the story for the one episode. I would follow those characters. They were compelling. They were interesting. The story was good. And I was like, why don't we just make that instead? I would really enjoy learning more about the first 3 episodes, characters and how they go. They played really well, so I really enjoyed it.
I would also say it's probably easier for them to make those shorter one-off stories than a whole compelling season.
Yeah.
They
definitely.
obviously were trying to do like a Star Wars Goonie-esque type
Yeah, they
story.
were. But
And-
no, go ahead. The last episode of Visions is one of the worst pieces of television I've ever seen. I invite you to watch it. Keep an open mind, but if you think there's some redeeming value, I submit that you're wrong. It's pretty horrible. It's called Black, and it is about PTSD for stormtroopers.
Oh.
And so it's the nightmare of PTSD. So I understand the vision behind it, but it is done with like 1960s bebop jazz music and Roger Pollock kind of artwork, and it is disorienting and confusing and deeply, deeply, deeply disturbing. My wife and I had to watch a palate cleanser before we went to bed after we finished the episode. So
a visual palette cleanser. Can I ask what you chose as your visual palette cleanser?
we watched one episode of the new Charlie Brown series on Apple Plus.
Interesting. Do you know what a visual palette cleanser is for me? The Great British Baking Show.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Sorry.
Visions episode 9, Black, not great. Rest of the season, it's very strong.
All right. Well, that's enough geeking out. Now it's time over to Cody's weird dream.
Tell us about your weird dream.
I did have a weird dream. And so, full disclosure, I don't remember my dreams super often. But today I did. And I told Jessica about it. And she just kind of looked at me. And she's like, "You're weird, man." And I was like, "I know." But I have a hypothetical situation. Anyway, so the dream that I had, I dreamed that somehow we were playing golf at some country club somewhere. I don't know the name of it. Doesn't exist. It was a dream. And we got paired with a group, which also usually wouldn't happen in like a private country club. And the person that I was paired with was actually a, relatively like new golfer on tour. And they wanted to put in some extra practice in their golf game. And there was a tournament next week, like an invitational that they had to go play that they didn't want to go play.
Okay.
So instead they're like, hey, Cody, why don't you go take my place? And I was like, you know me. You've golfed with me this whole round. I'm a terrible golfer. That is not a good idea. And he's like, no, I would much better be served practicing instead of trying to play in a tournament because I have some, other rounds that I want to kind of prepare for. You should totally do it. And I was like, I don't know if that's how it works. And he's like, it totally how it works. And Dream Brain said, okay. And he's like, plus, if you happen to not get last place, you'll make some money, which also is not how that works because I would technically be an amateur. Again, throwing that all aside, I called up John Paul and said, John Paul, you need to fly out with me to California. And you're like, I have school. And I said, no, I need you to skip school. You're going to be my caddy.
Okay.
In this competition. Sorry, Eric.
Did I bring squeezed cheese and Triscuits?
I always knew you guys had a bromance going.
And I was like, can you do this? And so we, you flew out and my dream ended right as we were going to, tee off in this competition. So I don't know where it went from there. But
it means I'm a good friend.
You are. Mm-hmm. So my question, though, that kind of stemmed from this of why I wanted to bring this up with you guys, because not only is it kind of just weird and silly, if in some weird universe that were to happen in real life and I gave you the call to come be my caddy at the drop of a whim, would you come do it?
It would depend on where you're going to play.
I don't know. Anywhere in the continental U.S.
I'm going to say yes. I would do it. I'd drop what I'm doing.
I would try. I don't know. I have a family, and it's a little more difficult.
I do too. I'm just saying, like, if I got the call that if somehow I was going to play in the Pro-Am at Pebble Beach next week.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No,
okay.
It's much. I want to be fair to Eric. It's much easier for me to say yes to that than it is for him to say yes to that.
That's fair.
I not only professionally, work wise, like it would be easier for me to step away than it is for him to step away. My wife's doesn't have children to take care of while I'm away, so there's a lot of.
My wife's outnumbered 2-1.
2-1, right? And my wife doesn't have to worry about that, so I would be in a much better position. So while I do think I am a better friend, that is no reflection of his answer.
Wow.
So I just vice versa. On the other side, I was just thinking that if I told my wife that, like, hey, this once in a lifetime opportunity came up for, one of my best buddies, I need to be there for him, she would be 100% supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just thought that was really interesting dream to have.
It is.
That's not how the universe works. That's not how getting in a golf tournament works. But if it did, it is good to know that I've got a couple of caddies that I could choose from.
Hey.
Birdie Bev, time for another Birdie Bev.
What do we got, Eric?
We have ourselves a Dog and Suds root beer, drive-in style. I've never heard of it before. It's got a picture of a dog holding a dish with a hot dog on it, which I don't know how a dog would feel about hot dogs. But then it also has a root beer on it. Kind of interesting. It kind of almost looks like it's done with AI.
It's a dog. It's a dog eating a hot dog.
Some root beer labels.
That could be the source of the apocalypse right there.
Some root beer labels we get try and be like, we're sophisticated and we are an elegant root beer brand. This is absolutely none of those.
That is not sophisticated.
I am a cartoon dog with sausages, and here's a root beer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I hope it doesn't taste like sausages.
It better not.
If you had to come up with your own root beer, what would you call it?
Not hot diggity dog.
Okay.
My perfect root beer, what would I call him? Do you know what I'd call it? I'd just use like a Germanic font, and I'd call it Das Root Beer.
I would maybe pull like an Dwight from The Office. You know, where he's like, "This is your birthday," or "It is your birthday." Be like, "This is a root beer."
That'd be a good one.
All right, let's give it a sip.
What does drive-in style mean? Is it like trying to be draft root beer? Because it almost has a draftish kind of smell. This one's a little bit tougher to point, and I have a couple of notes why, but let's get locked in on our scores first.
Trying to make sure that my ambient mood from the day is not somehow affecting my scores.
I was just trying to see if I could see where this is from. No idea. Bottled by the Clover Club Bottling Company.
All right, I'm locked in.
Yeah, I'm locked in
I
as
might
well.
have been a little stingy, but I'm locked in.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cody.
I gave it a 6.5.
I also gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, sure enough, I was just a little bit stingy. I gave it a 6.
Okay.
Talk to us first about yours.
So it's not a bad root beer. I think this particular bottle is starting to go.
That could be.
Might be.
I think the sugar is just... I don't know what happens to a root beer when it sits on the shelf for a long time, but do you remember when we did the comparison, how it almost tasted like lightly root beer flavored carbonated water? This doesn't taste like that, but it's starting to. The starting notes are just like, it's just going to turn, is what it reminds me of.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I gave it a 6 because, again, it's a pleasant root beer. It's pretty good. It's not fabulous. Like, there's no complexity to it that I can detect, with one exception that I'll talk about in a moment, which is why I kicked it up from a 5. Because initially I was going to give it a 5. This root beer starts kind of acidy and unremarkably. It finishes way smoother than I was expecting.
It mellows.
So when I took the first sip, I was like, here's another one of those. And then as it just sat on my tongue, for the longer it sat on my tongue, the better my opinion kind of begot of it, because it got smoother. And there is a tiny, 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 tiny wisp of a bite, but it's not from carbonation. I think there's like a hit of cinnamon or something in it that finishes off with just a little spice in the back of your tongue. And I really like that.
Do I detect cinnamon?
Do I detect
Oh,
cinnamon?
I'll never tell.
Didn't the Seinfeld people say that cinnamon's always the secret ingredient?
Is it?
Yeah.
I was thinking of The Simpsons with Groundskeeper Willie. He has his own special blend of wood chips for cleaning up throw up at the school. And Homer's just like, do I detect cinnamon? And then Groundskeeper, I'll never tell.
That's funny. Yeah.
Well, I'll never do.
What about your score, Eric? Why is 6.5 for you?
I felt like it was a little unremarkable. There was nothing that brought it out, but it was also not bad. So it was like, it's middle, but it wasn't bad middle. So it was like upper middle. So I just like, 6.5 felt
That's
like
fair.
a fair.
Yeah.
I'm also very excited to share some root beer news, just so that you guys are aware. I have been in kind of a funk lately because it's quite difficult where we are to pick up bottled diet root beers.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Like for a while, you could get them pretty readily. Several of the brands carried a diet root beer that was readily available on the shelf. And it has been a long time in our particular local grocery store since I've been able to pick that up. I have to go all the way into Salt Lake to get a diet root beer in a bottle, and so I just haven't been keeping them. Just this weekend, I found out that our local hardware store has started carrying a full range of Hank's root beers, including their diet. And we did just a quick taste test of the diet Hank's root beer on our root beer tasting day, and didn't love it, but it's entirely possible it was because it was old, because we found out that was the case.
You think it needs another shot?
So I think now the problem is that I did grab these off of the shelf and they aren't quite dusty. So it's either because they bought used stock and it's going to be old and it will also be rubbish, or it's because it's being sold in a hardware store. I know it wasn't there the week before, so it's not like it's been on the shelf in there for a long time, and so it could just be dusty because it's in the hardware store. But I propose that we blow the dust off of it. I'll bring it next week. Let's try it and see if it scores better than it did
Sounds
the
good.
first time.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds awesome.
And if it scores well, I'm going to be very happy, because I would love to be able to buy it in town. Would love that.
Yeah.
If you have any particular questions about our sim build or any of the other things we talked about in this episode, feel free to get in touch with us at fortherecord.com, F-O-R-E, therecord.com, and use the contact us form at the bottom of the page, or call us out on our socials and we'll see if we can respond to you there. But thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time.